Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thank you so much for joining us today for the very first installment of our Women in AI webinar series. My name is Victoria Papalian. I'm the Chief Operating Officer of Udacity, and I'm thrilled to be here today with our inaugural guest, Dr. Michelle. Than a dozen cutting-edge human-centered AI products and solutions. Michelle, thank you so much for being here today and for being part of the very first installment of Udacity's Women in AI series.
Thank you, Victoria, for the introduction. It's an honor to be here. Very happy to be here.
I'm so glad. So before we get into all of the incredible work you're doing today, I want to rewind a bit and start at the beginnings of your career. You've been operating in and around the space of artificial intelligence for quite some time. You started your career back in the 90s working on what we consider today to be the foundational elements of AI. So what was it that originally piqued your interest and ultimately resulted in this incredible career you've had?
Thank you for asking. I guess when I was younger, I was much more ambitious than I am now. So when I was actually a teenager, I started because both my parents are physicians. So I really want to be a biologist. And interesting, people may laugh about what I'm going to say. So when I got my first period, I started to learn about the human physiology. Then I knew that, women actually have the responsibilities of bearing children. Then I said, hey, what if I could make a contribution to the human race by making men pregnant? In that case, the men and women can share the responsibilities of bearing children. Unfortunately, I didn't get into the biology department when I actually took my college entrance exam. So accidentally, I fell into the computer science department. Even then, I had no idea what computer science was about. So actually, I wasn't very fond of computer science until I came to the US and had three great academic mentors. So one mentor, Professor Nainani, who taught me visualization using basically graphics and information visualization to solve real world problems. And Dr. Carl Page really opened the door of artificial intelligence for me. Then I started to put the one plus one together. It is because not everybody really is an expert in creating graphics, understands information visualization. So I said, hey, what about we can create a machine who can do that, who has knowledge of information graphics and visualization, and then to help people design this type of data stories. Now we know the data stories and the visual stories. So then I was very lucky to find Professor Steve Feiner at Columbia University. And his research, he actually combines both of his aspects. So I started there. I went to Columbia and worked with him under his basically PhD program. So since then, I've become very, very true believer is that if we can combine actually human expertise and the machine scalability, then we can do wonderful things. So that would be, I would say, it's the starting of my career of working as you in your introduction at the intersection of the artificial intelligence and human computer interaction. So then after I graduated, I joined IBM Watson research and continued my work there, creating conversational AI agents for data analysts, and then creating actually artificial intelligence agents for analyzing information and information retrieval and search. And then came to GG, right? So we're creating practical agents to help people, especially in a very high touch and high stakes situations like coaching, counseling, as well as interviewing, also tutoring.
That's incredible. That's an incredible story. And it's you mentioned that you've worked at the intersection, and I also mentioned it in the intro, as you said, the intersection of the human capability and the machine capability, or AI. You've also operated for the intersection of what I would call applied and academic. So you've trained with all of these professors you've just mentioned. You've gone through the PhD process, and then you've also worked in environments like IBM Watson, and a huge accolade that sort of signals the academic side of you is your prolific authoring of scientific publications and 45 patent applications. So through all of that, like what is the through line? What is the thing that brings the applied and the academic world for you? What is that like theme that carries through everything that you do?
Oh, I guess as I said earlier, my earlier career was very ambitious. I really want to change the human race. So since I got it to learn more and work more in the area of AI, using artificial intelligence to help human beings, this belief of really using machines to augment ourselves is really something has basically stick with me, right? So it doesn't matter what I do, doesn't matter what projects I started, I've always wanted to kind of gain a better understanding of the human beings as a very unique individual. So in Chinese, we had a saying that is everyone is born with a talent. So I really wanted to use machines to understand so where the human talent's coming from and how each person is different from another person, and how can we create machines that can deeply understand ourselves and help ourselves better. So I think with this ideation, if you will, with this kind of like a belief, I've always trying to find working on something that can advance this belief, right? So that's I'm not sure if I answer your question completely, but that's just really carry through my whole career. It is if you look at the projects I've done, looking at the products or even the scientific research I've done, always in the area of trying to gain a deeper understanding of human beings, and then use that understanding to create machines that can better ourselves, can better help ourselves.
Yeah, no, it makes total sense, and you see that really come through, as you mentioned, in a ton of the work that you've been involved in. You also see it from your work at IBM Watson doing personality insights. You spent a lot of time at IBM in different capacities, working on different research projects, and you did so at a time. You were part of Watson at a time when AI, and specifically the brand of IBM Watson, was really starting to make headlines and coming on the scene. What was it like to be there at that time? It was really like the commercialization or even the consumerization of AI, and it was the thing that everybody was talking about and really hasn't stopped since. So what was it like to be part of that moment?
Yeah, so thank you for asking that. So even though I have left IBM for many years now, but I still appreciated how great the organization it is, and have always be appreciate the people there I have known and have actually get help from. So as you said, IBM, I would say the invention or maybe the existence of IBM Watson, it's obviously set up the huge milestone for the AI. Right. So I have to be very honest and clear. I didn't make the direct contribution to the IBM, the Watson system that beats the Jeopardy champions. So what we have done is actually another very different product. It's called, like you mentioned, is Watson Personality Insights, which is using a combination of psychology and machine learning to better understand human psychographics properties through human footprints. So as I said, it's just a very proud moment for researchers, for scientists like us to feel like, wow, my God, there's another huge milestone in human history, and you can create something so smart, right? So actually, it's not just this one moment. I think when I joined IBM, actually, before I joined IBM actually is also made the first computer that beat the world champion in chess. Do you guys remember? Yeah. So that's also another very a big moment again, because I think, as I said, I'm very proud to be a ex-IBMer, because IBM has absolutely done a great achievements in the human computing history, right? So there you can think about these big milestones and big achievements. That's I guess IBM researchers have done a great job for that. Absolutely, very proud of that. Even though, as I said, I've been very not very humble. I didn't really make a direct contributions to Watson per se. I mean, that particular system per se.
Yeah, yeah. But still, I mean, it's incredible. And having been there and having been in this space for so long, and is particularly at IBM, I know you're saying like there were many, IBM Watson had many moments, and you were there for some of them. Did you, and I guess now reflecting on your career, like, did you, any takeaways from that experience as something that taught you about like hype around a technology, hype around a domain, is through this process and being exposed to different versions and iterations of artificial intelligence, do you have some sort of sense now of like how to spot something that's more vaporware, and how to spot something that's really real and has could have meaningful impact on the world of technology and the world at large?
Oh, I'm glad you asked this question. Actually, I have been talking to my friends, colleagues, or some of the actually collaborators on this particular part. So even in today's AI, there's a lot of hopes, a lot of hypes as well, right? So what I have learned really in this experience, including at IBM, including at my own startup, it's really saying it's much easier than actually doing it, right? So if you think about IBM is really the first, the company who created the machines to beat the world chess champion, the first beat the actually Jeopardy champion, also the first actually having an idea of a cognitive computing, right?
Yeah.
And but IBM, at least to the best of my knowledge, it's not the first, or maybe currently the leader in terms of creating large language models, right? So then the reason you see those kind of ups and downs, it is when somebody comes with an idea, and especially great idea, it's really important to follow it on and ground it. I think that's absolutely important. So in the startup world, many people will say this, you can have the good ideas, a dime a dozen, but actually convert it, transform it into a product, into something that's actually impactful. There's just so much work we involved in there. And also I learned more in my startup career, it is that you can't not just go 80%. You have to go 100%. And people always say, oh, it's okay. You have the quick experience startup world. So they have MVP, maybe it's 50%. No, that's not going to customers going to buy. And most of the people probably won't even try it because they really want the solution. They don't want just an idea. They don't want just something to say, oh, it's great, I'm going to try it. But they want something that solves their real problems. So it doesn't matter how well you can say it, how you can spin it. But if it doesn't solve the real world problem, it's not going to sell, and people are not going to buy it. So as I said, it is from the ideation, from the idea inception to the actual product or solution that can benefit the real world organizations or individuals. It's a long journey. And I want people who are in the journey, especially wants to embark their journey on AI, especially take caution of that. So people will say, oh, now AI is so advanced, I can go there, just create a product, everybody will want to use it. Just stop thinking about that one. Think about what exactly your solution will help solve, what problems it's going to solve, what issues it's going to actually address.
Yeah, definitely. And the point you're making around solving real problems and giving the end user something that really is going to address their need is so important. And sort of in that same vein is this concept that I know is near and dear to your heart, the concept of human AI inequality. Can you talk a little bit more about what you mean by that concept and why it's so important to you?
Yeah, thank you for asking that. That's one of my favorite topics as well. So you heard about a lot of this. I wouldn't say it's completely hype about the wording phrases called about co-pilot, right? So actually, I very much don't like this phrase or this kind of what I call this term is because we were talking about co-piloting, which means it is. I guess the words or the meaning came from the real actual in a flight. During the flight, you have a pilot, you have a co-pilot, right? When the pilot is not working and the co-pilot actually is working and helps you to share the responsibility. But AI is so far away from being perfect, being in the position to be in parallel role as human beings, right? Because we work with the AI every day, and we knew its strengths, we know it's actually weaknesses. It's just so far away. And another part I was always trying to ask it is, so why we're inventing AI for? Are we going to inventing them to replace ourselves? I guess that's not the original intention of anyone, any company, right? So what we want to invent AI is just like in this not so long human history. It is we wanted another tool, a very innovative tool who can help us do better in our work and live better in our life, maybe even advance our careers and be more healthy. So we want a tool. We don't want somebody to replace us, to do the work we like to do. So in this case, I always have to put AI in assistant in a much more, I would say, less, how do you say, not the equal role. That's why I said the inequality actually makes sense in this case. It is of course we advocate equality among the human beings, but not between the machines and the human beings. Because first of all, they're not going to replace or even not going to be very close to what humans can perform, can behave. It's just a long. I would say I don't even believe it ever. Maybe next 100 years after I'm gone. Let's see.
Yeah, that's an interesting perspective, and it's definitely not held by everybody, but I completely align to what you're saying. It completely resonates with me. How do you see this concept, if at all? And I'm sure there are companies that really believe in this philosophy as well. And being an ex-IBMer myself, I know that this is a philosophy very strongly held by IBM, that machine does not augment, or it augments a human. It does not replace a human ever. How do you see this concept being incorporated into products and generally into AI, large language models today? And how do you see that potentially evolving in the more near term, so 5-10 years out, not the 100-year version of this vision you're talking about?
I think in next just maybe 3 to 5 years, we will see the genuinely very helpful, very understandable AI assistants or AI agents to help us, right? Just to give you a couple of examples, which I'm being very actually moved by this type of applications. So we have a customer who is in the healthcare domain. So this customer is really specialized in mental health care. So obviously, so they are especially want to help youth, young people to overcome their emotional issues or behavioral issues, right? But they have a very limited resources, to be honest. So each doctor probably can take care of maybe 20 patients top at a time. The reason it is, it's very stressful to interact with each patient, especially on a very, we call it longitudinal process, right? So in this case, they are starting to using building AI agents, which kind of help them to engage with their patients. You know what their smart use it is to elicit patient insights through those engagements, and using a very in-depth conversation to understand better. So what's happening to the patient? What they're doing every day, using a very natural way, but it's really hard for humans to scale out. So how can you think, just imagine How can a clinic can send out a nurse or maybe even a care coordinator to call each patient multiple times a day? That's impossible, right? But now the AI can do this. But the beauty of this one, it is the AI will execute what the human beings wisdom. So the human beings knew what they wanted to extract, what they want to elicit from the patients. And then the AI will do the elicitation work, will interview the patients, then automatically gather all those patient insights for clinicians to make better assessments in terms of monitoring the treatment and adjust the treatment. So it's really a huge step forward. And similarly, recently we have been working on because I know Udacity, actually, it's really a great platform for people to gain technical education. So we are also recently working on help people to actually learn technical knowledge as well as soft skills. So let's say critical thinking, right? So think about the coach who has, let's say, taught me about the critical thinking skills. But hey, now I have a new decision making, a new kind of a difficult decision making issue or problem. I wanted to really know how should I apply what I learned to this problem, right? To apply the critical thinking. I don't have the coaches at hand right now. It's 12 o'clock midnight, and I really wanted to gain some kind of feedback for it. The AI can do that. So because AI has the principles taught by human beings, then can apply that to help me to think about it. What assumptions should I make? How can I investigate assumptions? How should I challenge that assumptions? So those kind of at scale, very personalized, very situation-based learning delivery then can be done by AI now. So that's why I see it is just imagine if everybody can learn something based on their own situation knowledge, but actually by applying the principles, again, the wisdoms from the human, right? How great it is. It's basically, as you said earlier, it's really augmented the human intelligence, not replaced, because the material, the practical wisdom that the machines are going to learn from still have to come from humans. Machines don't have a practical experience. They're not living in the world per se, right?
Yes, completely. And those are excellent use cases of where AI has advanced us as a society forward. Because this series is Women in AI, I have to ask, sort of underpinning or maybe implied in what you're saying is humans are guiding innovation in AI. Humans are guiding the applications of AI onto our everyday life and world. So implied in there is like AI is only as good as, to some extent, to the people who are guiding its application. That begs the question, like, not necessarily a question, but it sort of forces the statement, like, representation is critical in AI. Otherwise, the applications that are built and the models that are built and the data that's fed are skewed because they're not representative of the population. So because this is the theme of the series, and because you are an incredibly powerful woman in AI who's had sort of an amazing career thus far, how have you seen the role of, I'll say women, but like just generally representation? Like, how have you seen that evolve over the course of your career in technology and specifically within artificial intelligence?
So you know what? In the past, I would say maybe 5 or 10 years ago, it is very stereotyping. Thinking about it is if you're going to draw a picture of the women in AI, and very few, right? And mostly you can see it is guys or maybe men who are the computer scientists, who are mathematicians, right? But maybe thanks to the advances of technology, I see actually women are will play a huge and even more and more important role in advancing AI. So here is why, especially from our own experience working with our clients, working with our collaborators, it is this. I have always told people, when you adopting AI, when you're thinking about adopting AI technologies and solutions, it's like adopting a child. you have to be very nurtured. You have to think about how you groom the AI, because the AI needs to have a constant development, constant improvements. So thinking about this. So in this world, who are most nurturing? Who helps our human beings actually grow and develop, right? So this really, women has this intuition of the being a mother. The nature of being caring, being responsible will make women perhaps the best, we call the AI supervisors.
Yeah.
So which means it is they have the knowledge, they have the actually the response, intuitively, they're very responsible. Thinking about it, is how many, of course, they're irresponsible mom, but most of them are really responsible for taking care of their children, and then to groom the children, right? So we have seen here, very interesting. This is our very small sample. We have found it is when we collaborate with our clients and collaborators, if the women are in the position being the main AI supervisors, their AI always gets the maximum optimized ROI. There's no doubt of that. Because it's not like something you just kind of adopt it, install it, develop it, and deploy it, and then something you leave it there, you're gone. No, if you're going to do that, and your organization's AI will be completely abandoned by their users, right? So you have to keep bringing it up. You have to keep improving it, keep teaching it. Who has the patience? Who has the really responsible nature of it? So as I said, it's just I can't see a better role for women to be in a position to be actually the power of advancing AI.
I love that. It's any implementation has to be nurtured like a child, and that women are uniquely positioned in that role. So I love that analogy. You've, over the course of your career, held a number of different types of roles. You've been in different parts of the sort of AI sphere. Where do you feel like the most impact is coming from in AI today, right? You've been at the behemoth that is IBM, driving AI forward. You're now co-founder and CEO of Zhou. So you've seen the sort of large, mature, established company trying to crack and successfully cracking into the world of AI. You've been a founder. You've done the entrepreneurship thing from a startup cracking into AI. So, like, where do you see innovation or impact really coming from? And how is engaging with AI different in these two contexts?
I would say the biggest advance in AI, of course, the technology advancement. And another thing I think it's even more important, it's really the power of people in terms of democratization of the AI. So think about it. When we started GG, and when we started to create the conversational AI agents, we have to really explain to people why you want to adopt the conversational AI agents. Now, we don't need that explanation. People have tried ChatGPT. People have tried other types of actually AI tools. So they actually started to learn themselves, right? So this is actually not just to create the awareness, it also create maybe the desires for adopting new technologies to help themselves, to help their organizations. And another one, it's just amazing in terms of, because I know you are in the educational area. We have been working in this area for a long time in applying AI to advanced education. It is some of the very moving examples of this in terms of, I'm talking about a democratization of the technology, democratization of the AI. So we have actually collaborators in the university, professors. They have used our platforms to teach high school girls technologies, right? So one of the story when I actually have heard, I almost every time always kind of brought me to the tears in that way. It is. So this professor told me one high school girl, she's kind of an introvert, right? She doesn't do a lot of social interaction with her peers. But in this particular class, which he taught AI to the girls, so they basically use our platform to teach those girls to create AI agents. Of course, everybody creates a different type of AI agents. You know what this girl created? She created herself. So she started to talk to herself. Then her discovery is, oh, this AI just like me. It's shy, but it's okay. But we can talk. We can learn from each other. As I said, I just think about it. She did herself, and she had that self-discovery and the self kind of a realization. I'm okay, right? Even though I'm an introvert, I'm maybe not interacting with other kids. I'm fine, right? So that kind of a confidence, that kind of a self-discovery really made me very proud being in this field, being inventing the tools to democratize AI, to let other people to have the opportunity even to do that. So this one, coming back to this, maybe a theme of this, your event series, it is that kind of a human equality can be coming from a democratization of the technologies as well. So I was thinking about it is, I think everybody, maybe lots of people know about the movie Her. So thinking about in the next 5 years, everybody would have an assistant just like her, not just telling you what's the weather is like and playing your favorite music, but really understand your strengths and weaknesses and suggest which career path you should take on, what skills you need to improve. But most of the people, even today, do not have the luxury to have your own personal coach, your personal trainer, your personal be clinical psychologist, right? So that's the power of a democratization of the technology and the accessibility to the technology.
Yeah, that's an incredible story. And it sort of speaks to the evolution and sort of where you think AI is going. And if I'm to take a thread from what you're talking about, it sounds like human interaction with AI is going to become increasingly personalized and personal. And that raises a bunch of questions. I mean, there are questions at a very base level of sharing data, but this is a whole other level of sharing your life, truly. Your thoughts, your dreams, your desires. I mean, that's a whole other data privacy and just data sharing conundrum. So questions around like responsible AI, ethical AI, like ethics as a consideration when you're implementing or building AI solutions. Question one is like, where do you think that's going? Like, what is the role for ethics to play in sort of the advent of these type of technologies? And then have you ever encountered anything that sort of given you pause or made you really think about, okay, let me come at this from an ethical lens?
Absolutely. So this is another topic of mine in terms of a responsible AI and also the ethical and the safe development of AI. So from our own experience, maybe because what we have done, what we could do, and brings up the two aspects. So one aspect it is because of the power of AI, especially right now, for example, we talked about our AI can read between the lines, which means it is through the very just casual conversations like you and I are having, and it can automatically infer your strengths and weaknesses and infer my strengths and weaknesses. So as you said, it's not just sharing about the life, about the facts of a person, it's sharing the core of the person. What is the person like? What this person can be motivated by and can be demotivated by, right? So think about this one is talking about a potential abuse of AI power. If let's say somebody wants to knows that a particular person is very prone to addicted to substance or addicted to certain type of things, it's scary using this power, right? So second part of it, maybe it's a partial of the solution we're talking about. It is now I started to working on this area called AI provenance or agent provenance. So what does it mean here? It is in business, you have probably heard about the business provenance, right? So what it means it is if you have a business process, a business assets, you want to know where they come from and how trustworthy they are and who created them and where they're going to go and how they're going to be used. In AI, as I said, any AI agents, AI assets are business assets. So in that context, shouldn't we know where they come from and what level of trust we should give to different types of assets, right? Just to be very, very simple example here, it is people, I haven't heard about lots of people talking about, because recently we have seen this one, our clients start to talk about, say, hey, I want to see that in writing. So let's say you go to ChatGPT, you created the chatbot to say, okay, this chatbot will interview a bunch of high school students, right? And ask them about their maybe career aspirations, their challenges, so then we can help them. But if you don't put this process, let's say in writing, you just say, okay, you just go ahead. Today you interview 5 students, tomorrow you interview 10 students. But what the organizations, being responsible organization, needs to see here it is, so what the process looks like, what kind of questions you're going to ask, and what you shouldn't ask, what you should ask. If without having this AI behavior, which is in a lots of things in a black box, to be explicitly spelled out and to be recorded, to be actually examined by the human beings for approval, that's actually a very, I would say, irresponsible development of AI. That's not very ethical either, because you have no control on how the AI will behave, right? So in this case, it is we're really advocating the AI agent prominence. It is whatever you create, you better see, you better know, basically in a prescribed way, how they're going to provide. At least you can predict, right? And you can also audit. That's also another very important aspect of it. So when you talk about business prominence, it is you want to be able to record and replay as well as audit, right? So it's same thing with, I don't see why in the AI world we shouldn't be doing that. I think we should do more, especially with that AI behavior, especially if you're talking about large language models with the probabilistic in nature, you don't know what's next coming out, right? So it's more important for the ethical and the safe development of AI is by adhere to and start actually the AI agent prominence, use that to guide the AI development.
Yeah, and what you're getting at, like there are so many skill sets that are required for a successful to be a successful AI practitioner. There's the data piece up front, there's the building of a model, there's the ethical component, there's the going back to the analogy of like a maternal sort of like maintenance of something, and constantly nurturing and training. There are so many skills that are required to make this whole process run smoothly and successfully. What would you say are the critical skills to be a successful AI practitioner, and how have you seen that skill set evolve over time?
So, it's a great question. And first of all, I want to say, maybe you implied already too. So when you want to create a genuine, really impactful AI product and solutions, the organization absolutely requires to have a very diverse team. When I say diverse, it's not just diverse in terms of demographics, it's diverse in skills and in disciplines. So you need to have psychologists who actually have a grasp of how human beings actually thinking, how human beings behave. And you want to have a computer scientists and engineers who know how to put those principles actually into computers and drive computers, right? And also you have to have a designers thinking about user experience, how to actually deliver that best user experience. So I don't believe one person can do all of that. As I said earlier, I do believe everybody has his or her own talent, but not everybody has all the talents, right?
Yes.
So, but if somebody who wants to get into the AI field, I would say it here it is to be broad, and in the meantime, to be deep in one, right? To be broad, it is you understand the scope of what AI requires. For example, the technical skills, understands how AI actually works, what it works, what doesn't work, and why, and the basic technical skills, and then some of the soft skills like communication skills, like Ryan, you're talking about prompt engineering. If somebody can even speak a language very clearly explain, you're not going to instruct AI how to do it. So we used to be joking in our team meetings. We said, if you write something with human beings couldn't understand, the machines definitely could not understand. So that kind of a communication skills, language skills, very important. I would say the third part, the soft skill, is the collaboration skills, because you want to be able to work with others, especially, as I said, a single person's power and knowledge and skills, it's not sufficient to build a very impactful AI product or technology. You have to be able to work with others. And especially when you want to work with others across interdisciplinary fields, it's much harder because you have to understand their language. They have to be understanding your language. So that communication, teamwork, and collaboration skills, I think those are must have for a person who wants to get into the AI field.
Yes. Yeah, that's great. And super interesting, and probably something that many folks wouldn't expect to be such a critical skill, but definitely is, and is becoming increasingly so.
Yeah.
Well, those were all of the questions that I wanted to ask you. I'm going to shift now to Q&A to see if there are any questions from folks joining the call. So to begin, technology and specifically AI are changing every single day. There are new things every day. How do you stay up to date with the latest advancements in AI, the latest product releases, the latest innovations, the latest experts, what conversations are happening? Like, there's so much going on. There's so much noise. Like, how on earth do you stay on top of all of it?
Keep in mind that by training, I'm a scientist, right? So whenever I do something, I always do research on that particular field. So what actually still attract me the most is the scientific publications. So it's not just scientific publications in computer science, in the AI field, and more I have been reading scientific publications in humanity science, for example, psychology, physiology, even biology. So recently we wanted to teach AI agents practical wisdom. And I found the article in Nature, the very famous Nature publication, to actually, psychologists have been studying how to understand the properties of a human practical wisdom. So I want to know, they do a lot of dissecting, because the practical wisdom actually was the concept invented by Aristotle, which is a long time ago. But now they are scientifically actually trying to dissect and investigate what are the properties, right? So are the cognitive dimensions or the emotional dimension, could affective dimensions, or maybe the behavioral dimensions. So those things actually really be a very huge interest of mine. Because if I thought it is, if we understand more about human beings, we can create much better machines. So I also was the editor-in-chief for a journal, for a scientific journal, actually covering the area of AI and HCI, human-computer interaction. So I have to, in that case, I had to actually read a lot of scientific publications in terms of a state of art, understand what's going on and what the great ideas people have come up with. And more and more, I also care more about the AI applications, and as well as the evaluation studies. So you can actually subscribe to those journals, especially from ACM, right? So ACM is a very big organization. You can go there to find out their digital library, to find out the state of art, research, studies, evaluations over there. I think that's a great place to start, especially you want to go deep. If you just want to know on the surface, I guess you can go anywhere, like the tech columns of New York Times. But the reason I also encourage people who wants to get into the AI field to get deeper, it is because you wanted to see what's actually going on there in terms of why, not just say what, right? So ask the questions why. And another part of it is that those scientific publications are often peer-reviewed, which means that is they have gone through a very thorough, rigorous process. So they have to, backed up by evidence and actual experiments.
That's very helpful. That's very helpful advice for folks wanting to get their hands dirty in AI and stay up to date on what's happening. Next question for you. Is there anything that people, individual people or organizations more broadly, get wrong when it comes to AI? Things like common misconceptions that people hold about it, or they place value on the wrong things, or they move too quickly and forget steps. Like, is there something that people are just getting wrong that you want to sort of dispel or debunk?
I want to say something probably controversial to some people, maybe not to the general public. Even some of the very top leaders of the top organizations believe large language models will do everything, will solve everything, which is a very huge misconception. The reason I often said here is I knew you are the leader, senior leader at Udacity. When you hire somebody, especially junior people, would you be your job description always just say one thing? As long as person has language skills, let's hire this person. Never, right? You always want some other skills. So what large language models enable us to do here is to really help the machines to gain human language skills, understanding natural language, to be able to compose actual language responses. But if you want the AI to help human beings truly, it requires many more skills. So what about the soft skills? What about people reading skills? When I say soft skills, it is even though we understand each other's language very well, but as how I'm going to take this conversation to a different directions, that's interactional intelligence, right? So if I wanted to give advices to individually, I need to understand what motivates them, what's their passion and interest. That's called people reading skills. So large language models are not going to solve everything. It is a huge milestone in the AI history. It is advancing the machine's language skills. That's it, at least so far. But machines need to be taught many, many more skills. That's a huge conception I often heard from even top leaders in the top organizations say, hey, we have large humans, we don't need anything else. Oh, I think that's a loaded statement there.
Yes, I can't say that I have not heard that as well. So it's definitely a pervasive perspective to hold, whether true or not. Okay, next question for you. As someone who is a relative beginner in the world of AI, where do you suggest that person begin? Where should they focus? I know you talked about like where can somebody go to get exposure to what's happening in conversation, but in terms of skill, where should somebody start to build that skill sort of repository?
Yeah, so I think they still need to. It still requires the foundational skills, the basic skills, right? So, for example, understanding how computer works, and understanding the data science and data. I would say that data structures, and because that's actually fundamental of the computer science, right? Understanding what are algorithms, how algorithm works. So those. Without this foundational knowledge, it's very difficult because almost like it's a cliche. It sounds like cliche. When you build the house, you still have to have the foundation. So those are kind of like a most important foundation knowledge people have to gain. And of course, the foundation people call the queen of science is mathematics. You still have to have the basic math skills to even understand what I just said about data structures, algorithms. So that's the one. And then after that, they can learn much. I would say it's wider. As I said, I'm biased in this case. If you want to be in AI, you got to take some courses in humanity science, social science, and cognitive science, right? Psychology. Understand how humans think. If you wanted to teach machines how to think, if you don't understand how humans do it, and maybe machines will not behave like humans exactly, but at least understanding the basic mechanism, understanding the core concepts still helps.
That's very helpful. And I would be remiss if I did not, for at least 10 seconds, say that those foundational skills that you're talking about, data structures, algorithms, intro to programming, mathematics, like the basics that you need to build a career in AI, all exist on the Udacity platform. So that is another resource that I would encourage folks to use to get exposure to those foundational skills. Of course, to complement sort of the more humanities element to that education and ethics as well.
Yeah.
Okay, next question for you. At the beginning of your career, did you face any challenges? And how did you sort of overcome those challenges, if you did?
Oh, huge. As I said, when I was, because I came here to start my graduate studies, right? So even though I knew I wanted to combine AI with the visualization, which is information graphics, which I said about earlier. So I applied to my professor, Stu Finer's program, PhD program at Columbia. You know what? When I went there, I was so appreciative of Steve because I'm probably the first PhD student he admitted who didn't have research background. Because before that, I haven't done any research. I don't know what research is about, right? So he was very encouraging, asked me. Then I started really, literally being there. I started to understand what's our research methodology and how should I even start? Almost like your question to me, it is where are you going to start from, right? And what you should start with. So I think at the beginning, there are so many challenges for me. It's almost like, because I always being a top student, but the student is very different from a research career. Because when you're a student, you just go take courses, right? You do very well in the course because the instructors will teach you, oh, this is a course, you take exams, you do very well. But now you have to be on your own feet to think about it is, okay, what is the problem I'm going to solve? And how am I going to approach the problem? It's a totally different world. That's why I always encourage people to go through a PhD. It's not about the knowledge you learn. It's about the thinking process. It's about the problem solving methodology you really learn from there, right? So I think even within my maybe second year or third year, beginning of third year, I used to be saying to my then boyfriend, said is, I just feel like I'm walking in a long, long, very dark tunnel. I don't know where the lights will be. So he was very encouraged to say this, keep going, keep it going, just keep going. And then maybe in the starting of the end of the third year, I started to say, oh my God, I got it, right? So I just said in that case, it is do not give up easily. Do not give up too early. Keep going.
That's great. That's great. I love that vision of a very long term.
Really, I have gone through that. And when you look back, you thought, oh my God, that's so simple. No, when you were in there, in that situation, in that time frame, you just feel like you're so helpless, right? But I was very lucky. I had people around me actually encourage me, actually, I would say sustain me, to say continue.
Yeah, that's very important.
Mm-hmm.
Next question. Your company, Zhou, has a perspective, I would say, on how users should interact with AI. How did you make the decision for what Zhou is and what it enables users to do? How did you land there?
I wouldn't want people to follow our paths because we have gone through a very, very, I would say, a difficult and lesson learned path. So as I said, my whole career before Zhou, I being a scientist, right, researcher. So when I came out of Zhou, wants to really work on understanding people better, because that's why what I wanted to do, to say, hey, if we can make a computer so can understand people better and help people better, that'll be great. I had absolutely no idea what we should do. Seriously, no idea. So I would say it's the price of the paid along the way. So we started it to just creating a new algorithm. After we created a new algorithm, we thought, hey, gee, we had a product. So we actually piloted it with many, many people. Within 2 weeks, we had 6,000 people come in to use our new algorithm, to analyzing their own personality from their Facebook, from their Twitter, from their emails. Then we found the very, very hard code fact. Very few people has enough data for analysis. That's it. You can't have any value for that. So then we went to the next step. We said, so how can we generate more data for people to analyze themselves? How about we create a conversational agent? We did. We created one. Then we said, who can use this? We said, the researchers will use this for doing research, conduct research, for conducting interview, conducting research. So we piloted it. And some of people, my dear friends, they're very honest with me. They said, Michelle, yeah, I understand that the AI can do the interview for me, but you know what? But after the interviews, you didn't give me the insights. I have to do extra work. It didn't really help me. I'm not going to use it. Again, and another thing it is, I can't even create it myself. I have to ask you to create that. So then we go to next step. We said that we have to create a solution, not just the piecewise technology. So we keep doing this iteratively. I would say paying heavy prices for that, because every stage we do it, we didn't have that one until literally about a year ago, we found that people really like this tool, right? They can quickly create their own practical AI agents to conduct the business tasks, to achieve the business tasks they want to do, like tutoring, like coaching, like actually counseling. So it has been really this iterative process. I don't know if anything, this is where actually when I look back, I have no idea, I have no answer whether we can shorten it even.
Yeah, sometimes you just have to go through it. You have to do it.
Yeah. It's a long, very, very expensive, very costly process.
Yeah. And what was sort of the impetus for shifting from big company world to being an entrepreneur? Like where did that motivation come from?
So as I said earlier, so my co-founder and I, we co-invented Watson personality insights, right? So we found that there are many customers talking to us, and IBM made a product out of it. But there's no practical solutions that we think have been built. So that's why kind of like motivated us it is, we said, hey, if we can come out of IBM, we could work with more people, especially not because IBM mostly working with enterprises, right? Not the small and medium businesses. So we said, hey, if we can come out and you can have a product to help people to gain a deeper understanding of themselves and to be better, that would be great. But we don't know what the product is like. We have no idea what the product should be and will be, right? And then when we come out, we learned, as I said, dearly to see a product is not a piece of technology. And the product is not a half-baked solution.
Right.
That's definitely we paid price to learn that in the reality. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, my very last question for you, and how I will end all of these webinars going forward. One sentence on advice for young women interested in advancing their career in AI.
I always said it is adhering to 3 Ps: passion, purpose, and perseverance. Passion, which means you have to do what you like to do. Do not just listen to other people. This is a hot area. This is a great area. Go into it. You have to love it because the life is so short. Don't work on something you don't like to work on. And purpose, it is if you elevate your passion with a higher purpose, you can attract more people around you and more people to help you realize your passion and work on your passion. Basically, you want to gather people around. And persistence or perseverance, basically, everybody knows that nothing is easy. You have to stick to it.
That's great. 3 Ps, easy to remember. So thank you, Michelle, so much for being our very first guest on this series. Really, really appreciate it. And thank you to everyone who joined us today. We sincerely hope that you found the conversation as valuable and as fun as we did. Be sure to stay tuned for future installments of the Women in AI webinar series from Udacity, and feel free to follow Michelle's work as you are interested. She is always doing something exciting, so please do keep up. So thank you.
Invitation and for hosting this webinar. Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle. Thanks everybody.